So I just want to say, personally, I have got a official diagnosis of bipolar disorder, and I don't know what you would think when you hear that. Like, I do not know if you'd think, oh well, like she's fully crazy type thing, or if you'd think, oh, she maybe has mood swings, like gets depressed sometimes, but hyper sometimes, or whatever. But basically, there's more to bipolar than that. Like me personally, I hear a voice, I see hallucinations, and I believe they're spiritual. Like, that's my opinion. I do believe they are spiritual, and I think they're like a blessing. Like, I've seen some extremely holy things, and I have yeah, like I like my voice, like it's a positive thing for me. But I do get into mischief. Like, I get into like situations, or like there'll be a heated situation type thing, and I might feel like God's with me type thing, so I'll be acting a bit more like West or whatever, do you know what I mean? And when I get to hospital, like I find the environment triggering, I find the staff not very nice, and then I'll be like totally relying on my voice, because I'm like, well, this guy's good and like everyone else is like not good right now. So and he'd be like telling me some sort of West shit, and I'll believe it. And I, like me personally, I believe that when I go to these hospitals, I actually think I'm kind of doing like undercover missions for God type thing, because I'm collecting evidence, I'm finding out exactly what's happening, I'm getting stories of things that happen to me, and I'm actually trying to do something about it. I'm campaigning for cameras, I am trying to change the way things are. And me personally, I'm always the type of person that wants to help like the most vulnerable person. So obviously, what better for me than like learning about how people with mental health issues who've obviously been through so much are getting severely sort of going through hell at the hands of mental health services. Like, not just how they're treated, but like some of the medication that people are on, it's absolutely so far from ideal. Like, I've had it before, I literally can't string a sentence together. I feel so depressed I'm gonna jump off a cliff because of my medication, like and they're refusing to change it type thing. Like, I don't know, there's a lot wrong with the way mental health services are. So me personally, I see it as a blessing. I'm grateful that I've had my experiences. But yeah, I've been sectioned 5 times. That's a lot of times. I've spent over a year inside mental health hospitals, and on like a dating app or something, if you say that, I'll say it quite early on. Like, I'm very honest. I'll say like, oh yeah, I've been sectioned 5 times or whatever, and that will put people off. Like, I don't know what they think. They must think like, oh, that's hectic, like you're kind of a write-off type thing, or like, oh, that's a lot to deal with type thing. But at the same time, like friends come to me for advice, like people respect me, like I do a lot of good. I am a lovely person. I've made 3 albums of stuff that I'm actually fully proud of and that I really fuck with. I've worked in youth work, I've worked in mental health, I've worked charity fundraising, I've done all sorts of bar work, call centre, all sorts. Like I'm like an intelligent person, and I've got big goals, and I'm trying to do things for the world. I have done things for the world. And just basically, like, just because like sometimes shit gets a bit West for me, do you know what I mean, and I go to hospital, like it doesn't make me any less of a person. Even in those times, like if you saw me in those situations where I've been sectioned or whatever, you might even find me funny. Like, you probably do find me hilarious, because I will actually be pretty funny. Like, I'm still me, but I'm just in some sort of like West mode, do you know what I mean? And like, people might hear some of the things I believe, and they might think, oh, that's so crazy, like why does she think that? But at the end of the day, there's just a voice telling me it, and at that time I'm just kind of believing it or whatever. But yeah, I think the purpose of that potentially is so that I do present a certain way, and then I gather more sort of intel. That's my opinion. Obviously it's different people have different experiences, but yeah, so basically it's kind of not all that crazy when you realize, like, oh well, the voice just told her it, and she happens to be believing the voice right now. Medication never gets rid of my voice. I do believe it's a spiritual thing. Like, it's like closely attached to like my intuition, like my spiritual feelings and stuff. But like, my voice only speaks when spoken to. It doesn't bother me. I'll just kind of ask him stuff. It's comforting. I'll be like, oh, is everything, like, I'm stressing, like, is this a good decision? He'll be like, oh, I think it is. And I'll be like, okay, well, actually I think this. And he'll be like, yeah, good point. Like, he's just kind of helpful, do you know what I mean? And I don't know what's caused me to have bipolar. Like, I have been through a lot of stuff, like traumatic things. I have like used drugs when I was a teenager, like hard drugs and stuff, not like crack or heroin, but like LSD, stuff like that. Not repeatedly, but I did do ecstasy quite a lot. and then obviously you see how someone presents on that, like that must be doing all sorts to your brain. But I've always believed that like drugs are kind of like a spiritual gateway type thing. So I've got a sort of spiritual relationship with drugs, so to me it kind of makes sense that like potentially I've kind of made my brain more like spiritually geared up. It's raining now. So yeah, I guess my main point is, just because someone has like my mental health disorder, like if I've been in like a highest intensity psychiatric service, and even them are saying like, yeah, she's really unwell type thing. So do you know what I mean? I get like kind of as severe as mental health presents, and well, potentially not quite as severe as it does get, but pretty severe. I'm like a sort of high whatever case or whatever. But there's a lot more to me than just the fact that I've got a mental health presentation. Like on a day-to-day, I'm a lovely person, I'm a helpful person, I'm a nice person, I'm doing good shit, like I've achieved a lot of shit, I plan to do a lot of shit. So there's a lot more to someone than this diagnosis, and you can't, like, you might think you get an idea in your head of an understanding of it, but you don't actually have an understanding of it because you've not spent all that time with that person. You don't actually understand what they've been through. So yeah, I just thought I'd raise a bit of awareness.